We're probably live. We'll go to Facebook. Everybody done left. They're like, these fools ain't even on here. Let's see here. Are we live yet?
Says in the top left corner.
Mm-hmm.
Working on that's the only bad thing about working on trucks.
All right, we're here.
Dirty. I even washed my hands.
You can wash your hands? All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of Red Hill Racing Podcast. I'm Ben Knight, joined by Mr. 43 time and our special guest tonight, Mr. Dustin Zerr of Penske Racing Shocks. Well, it's been a minute, and we're bringing y'all a live episode. We're going to talk with Dustin, see what all is going on with Penske, and see what the latest, greatest on shock technology is. But first, I can't forget.
You know what we're giving them before you go to the sponsors?
What's that?
The double D's. Tonight.
The double D's.
Double D's.
Yeah, double D's.
Yep.
There we go. Bringing the double D tonight. All right, we gotta shout out our awesome sponsors, of course. Starting with Worldwide Bearings, MPS Racing, Penske Racing Shocks, MTC Engineering, Platinum General Services, Schnitz Racing, Manchester Mines, Montgomery Motorsports, Hard Times Parts and Service, Knight Marketing Group, Energy Coil, the U of the WD. Oh, what I just stutter? U of W, University of Win, and BMF Motorsports. That's them. They're the
WD-40 there. For
WD, yeah. I like, dude. Walker's been grabbing WD-40 off the shelf and licking it. I'm like, it is what it is.
It's just
between that and dog food, he'll be fine.
Yeah, don't older people put that on their hands and stuff? They say
they do all kinds of stuff with it.
I mean, the Tin Man use it on his joints.
Yeah. I've heard it's good on stuff. We forgot about the comments. So if you listen to this recording tomorrow, the day after, week after, this is live. So we will be trying our best to shout out the comments and let you know what's being said and why we're answering them. So Artem, what's up, buddy? Then we got the slowest Busa. That's from YouTube. I was like, how come there's no name? We got the slowest Busa that says Penske for the win. Can you see the comments, Dustin?
No, I cannot.
You probably on your right hand corner, you can probably click comments. It's probably up there.
It has private chat and comments. If you click comments, it'll pull.
Oh, there they are.
Okay, cool.
So it's funny that he said Penske for the win because I couldn't tell you how long I thought FTW meant F the world.
F the world. Hey, you got to bring your mic a little closer, lean a little closer. Yeah.
It's good.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a little bit too much. It's just when you're looking up and away.
Just can't even see my face like this.
Yeah.
I feel like the guy off Home Improvement.
Oh, yeah.
What was his name?
Al? Wasn't it Al?
No, that's the guy across the fence.
Yeah, I thought it was
I don't know. You never got to see his face.
I just had it at the tip of my tongue. Dustin, you're not gonna help us out? You don't know who we're talking
about? I don't
about?
know.
I'm
not even gonna act like I do.
Man, it's rough. I can't believe I don't know that because I lived on that show. Like,
I know what you're talking about.
Dude is right there. Like, yeah, it is like right there.
Wilson, Bert Vines got us. He said, Wilson.
Yes, Bert. Thank you. Oh man, that's right. All right.
Yeah, I want to turn this up. Does that make me louder if I do that?
Is when you were looking up and away.
Oh, okay.
So you can
I can hear myself very good.
As long as you're like directing towards it, you're fine.
All right.
Logan, what's happening, man? How are you? Hope you had a good Christmas, New Year's. Tommy, yep, he is a cute, I think you meant chubby fella, cubby fella. I like cubby or chubby.
I'm a stud.
The slowest Busa says he's got himself a triple adjustable for his turbo boost and he loves it. Can't wait to run one on the 17 I buy soon. Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, we all appreciate the support for Penske.
Yes, thank you.
I know Dustin at Penske does, as well as me and Mr. 43X. So anyways, we got a lot of cool stuff tonight. Dustin and I, we'll go back to that. Me and the Hillbilly will do a little bit of recap because everybody, we're at like a year. Legit. This is like we're probably like give or take a week or 10 days away from our anniversary, but somehow we've been doing this for a year now. So I've got some numbers to share. I put them together earlier. They're actually really surprised the hell out of me because, you get to the end of the year and you start looking at things and, it just kind of puts in perspective. But anyways, we'll get into that. And then I know what y'all are really here for. We're giving away a Penske Shock. So if y'all didn't get in on that, you either A, weren't subscribing in the first place. So, well, I'm not gonna do anything different. Somebody who's giving me a thumbs up.
Dude, it does that on your thing
Okay.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know why it does. I'm jealous.
It did it right when I was getting ready to do something else for the people that weren't subscribed.
Must be on YouTube.
Yeah, maybe. Or you either entered in our we had right at 100 spots that you could buy additional entries, and I would say we probably only had 10 or 12 people buy additional entries, but they bought them all. So
yeah, I wish I
we'll
could have bought
see.
some of those.
I know. We'll see. So we got to thank Dustin and Penske for providing us with that awesome 8975, and whoever wins it will get the magical hands of Dustin all over that bad boy. So we'll get it set up for what you need. Yeah, so we got a lot going on. Where do y'all want to start? Any hot topic stuff we need to talk about? Do we need to talk about
make them wait on the
show?
giveaway stuff?
Oh yeah, we're not doing that stuff.
You got to do that till the end. You got to get to the very end, and you got to be like, but wait, there's more.
Yeah. Before we get to that, let us talk about this. We'll just drag it out.
Dustin and I had a pretty good little story at PRI. We probably had the most epic Uber driver in the history of Uber drivers.
The guy with the gloves that looked like an older Marilyn Manson. Yes, he was.
Yes,
he was one of a kind. I'll tell you.
That dude was awesome. We got picked up from dinner from an Uber, and I showed everybody at dinner beforehand. I was like, this could be interesting because what would you say? To say the least, Dustin, the photo that Uber gave us was not flattering, right?
No.
It left a lot of questions.
Yes.
Dustin probably described it best. Well, like a Marilyn Manson.
A chubbier version of Marilyn Manson that's in his 50s that wears fingerless leather gloves while he's driving with a black hat and a black trench coat on.
And long hair.
I can't remember what it was like Freddy versus Jason or one of them scary movies, but a guy had like a lip ring.
This guy didn't, but it was questionable.
But it makes me think of him, the picture you showed.
Yeah, it was bad.
He told us all about the street racing in downtown Indy back in the day. We're talking the 70s, and he's talking to us about it like it's today.
Yeah.
And then when we pulled out from the joint where he picked this up, he's like, man, if y'all weren't in the car, I'd make a hard left in front of all these cars. There's like 3 lanes of traffic.
Like four. Probably.
Dude, we told the guy, just send it, bro. Do what you got to do. And he did just that. I'm yelling about the pedestrian he's about to hit as he's making the left. I'm like, pedestrian, go right. And he went right around him. It was
I'm
hilarious.
in the back yelling, yeehaw. Like we're telling him that we're all racers and to just give it hell. And give it the DC slide. And he did. So then we're like, we're not even cruising. He is just hammer down, like driving through downtown Indy. Legitimately like he's in the Indy 500, just cutting people off, this and that, carrying on a conversation the whole time. Meanwhile, I'm in the back looking at who was back there with me. Were you up front?
Yeah, no, I wasn't next to him, but I was right behind him by the sliding door on the right.
I think J2 is in the back with me, and I was like, man, do you smell that? And he's like, yeah, it smells like antifreeze. Like his minivan definitely had a blown head gasket, obviously from the way he was driving too. Dude did not give 3. Oh, I forgot. This is not safe for work. But anyways, gave 0, and I mean 0 fucks. Like this dude was balling out, blown head gasket. You could just smell the antifreeze burning. So
J1 was next to me, and he's like, what is up with this guy?
So we're like hauling ass around town. He's telling us how to get here and hit there, blah, blah. So we get close to the hotel, which it really wasn't that far anyways. We got there in like record time. And he's like, by the way, if y'all go out, hit me up. He's like, you don't have to use Uber. I'll give you my personal card. So he brings it up on his phone and shows Dustin, and Dustin takes a picture. And hold on, I got to pull this up. It was hilarious. I don't know. Hold on, I'll find it real quick. I know I got it saved. All I got to do is there. Let's see here. There it is. I found it. Let's see. Can y'all see this? DD Transportation. Enjoy the ride. Professional driver. Has his own business cards. Professional driver. So it all made sense after he showed us that.
And he has a Volkswagen GTI-esque of a car on the background there on the business card, but yet he's driving a Dodge Caravan that with the 3.6 engine in it, puking antifreeze.
Hey man, you got to fake it till you make it. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
that's how you do it.
Oh man, it had me so amped up I couldn't even go to sleep that night. I had to go hang out with Dustin after that.
Yeah, yep, you did. You
Yep.
did.
So, anyways, but we'll maybe share some other stories later on. So, what's going on with Penske this year, Dustin? Anything new? Any new products you want to talk about? Share with the world?
Yes and no. I mean, as far as products are concerned, you know, we do so much in racing in general that um, there's so much in the pipeline. The engineers are flat out, basically 7 months out of the year, working on a lot of our F1 products and dealing with that side of things. And it's tough for us to get the new product out because of that. I mean, we have 6 full-time engineers on staff, and
Wow.
they're all busy, and new stuff that we come up with, it's always a trickle down effect. It starts at the top and it works its way down. I personally am trying to work on introducing a new shock altogether into the drag bike market that we haven't done yet. And I'm in the
Uh-oh.
process of, I'm in the process of trying to get enough bits and pieces together that I can get it to about a 13-inch overall length eye to eye. And then it's going to have roughly 2 to 2.5 inches of stroke so that we can put it on just about every bike that's out there that can take an eyelet. The problem is the clevis side of things. So that kind of limits us to like the 17 plus Gixxer. That is probably the only shock. That's probably the first bike that it would go on, because that we can bolt right on until I figure out how to adapt it to, the Busas and the older Gixxers that have the clevis and the ZXs as well. So if I can get it to work and I can prove to the people at the shop that it will work and that I can make it work, then potentially it will become, feasible for the engineers to spend some time on it to develop other pieces for it that then we can interchange it amongst the different bike chassis and
So
make it work.
on products, the deal that you're going to put on my shocks, I think a lot of people's unaware of.
Yes, they are. And I'm still waiting, but that's okay.
I
That's
told
okay.
somebody the other day, I was like, there's this deal that Dustin's putting on my shocks when I send them. But one of my bikes is in northern Indiana right now, so I ain't even got it to send. I'm going to send them both at the same time.
I know.
But
I know. I
yeah,
still
I
got to
don't know
ride.
what the Penske term of that would be, but be like a quick spring.
It's a spring preload adjuster. So
Yeah.
on your everyday bikes, your street bikes that are being ridden on a regular basis, and including even like the stock Harleys, they have a lot of them come with a spring preload adjuster. So if you ride 2 up or you ride with a lot of gear in the street side of things, you can add some spring preload to it to help aid and assist with, the way the bike's going to ride, carrying that extra weight. Now, in the drag bike side of things, track conditions change throughout the day, and tracks themselves change. So
Right.
if you need to go softer or stiffer, you're going to have to actually physically get down on a coil spring, and you're going to have to make changes to the preload. And a lot of the bikes, it's not easy to get to. So Dustin's going to actually be the first in the drag bike market to actually have them on the bike. It is something that we worked on for roughly 2 years, and I kind of unveiled it at PRI this year. It was a case of we wanted to put it through its paces. We have 2 different bikes out there. Eric Trinkley, our motorcycle manager, he has one on his Yamaha Tracer. He actually has the first prototype, and then there's another gentleman in our local area that has a stretched Busa that we put one on as well. And he's kind of in that situation where, as he says, I like putting the honeys on the back of my bike, and every time we get on the back of the bike, the back end sags too much and it bottoms out. So we came up with this spring preload adjuster to compensate for that. So in his case, he just gives it 2-3 turns, adds a quarter inch of preload to the spring. So if you got an 800-pound spring, you're adding a little preload. stiffening the back end up. So in the drag bike world, we can do the same thing. So
Yeah, track goes away, run it out a click, make a hit.
Yep, absolutely.
Basically what we talked about was just setting the medium, I guess you'd say, about like a little less than where I run it now, and then you can just tighten it up and loosen. You ain't got to grab it and get the tool and spin the ring. You just turn it on. And I feel like that little deal will give you almost all the adjustments you'll ever need. Like I don't feel like there'll be a reason to move it.
No, and I agree with you. You know, when you're sitting in the staging lanes and you're watching the people that you're getting ready to run and you're watching how the track changed while you're sitting there for 2 hours, you know, you can watch what's going on before, you can watch during, and if you second guess yourself, you think the back end's a little too stiff, you can turn the dial without even getting off your bike, depending on where you mount it on the bike. And it's the hose lengths are, you know, we can cut to length. We make them as we, you know, as the orders come in. None of our shocks and none of our parts are just, you know, pre-assembled sitting anywhere on a shelf. We physically hand build everything. So this preload adjuster, if you say, okay, I need an 18-inch hose on this thing to get the adjuster side of it, the external adjuster, closer to where you want it on the bike, we can do that at the time of ordering. Changing it later, it becomes an issue. So you kind of got to get it dialed in.
And once I get it, I'm planning on having somebody make us little nifty brackets for us racers to put the little knob deal somewhere where you can just reach under the tail and grab it. I got plans. So
yeah, and you saw it. It's not overly complicated as far as the mounting. You have a flat surface, two bolt, you know, through bolts, so you can mount it on either side of the bike. No issues. The hose is a very small, good bridge. I believe it's a -3 or a -2. It is stainless steel. You know, it's a stainless steel coated hose, just like on our remote reservoir shocks. It's the same product, just smaller. And overall adjustment, preload adjustment, it's just shy of ½ an inch of preload that you can gain.
That's a lot. People, I mean, that's a lot. Like, I don't think I've ever, you know, I've always said, give it a round, you know, one turn.
Yep.
That's you know, a ½ inch is a lot. So you have a lot of adjustability in just by the turning of a knob versus sitting at your pits, you know, running it around. And, you know, once you get them close, you don't really mess with it much, right?
No.
But it's just nice to have the thought that I could just change it whenever I wanted to.
That's awesome. I'm excited to see that too. Did you have it at PRI? Because
I did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I came by, and then when I came by, I kept missing you. So
I basically lived there for a while. I was at the Penske for a minute.
Yeah. Well, one thing nice about that particular unit that I got to throw out there, so all the guys out there that already have our shocks. So if it's a coil spring shock and there's enough room, we can add it. So
nice.
The older style shocks. So if you look at some of our older shocks, some of our older remotes, the thread pitch on the shock body is how you can tell if we can or can't do it. The older shocks were a very fine thread, whereas our newer shock bodies are Acme thread, so it's a lot coarser. Looking at it, you know, if it looks like
the threads look flat on
they're more squared off for better contact, less chance of galling, can carry more weight, et cetera, et cetera. It's why we went to it back in the late 80s through the 90s. We did the Acme thread. So 9 times out of 10, if you have one of our older shocks that has a remote adjuster with a gold knob on the top of it, you cannot add a preload adjuster to that body.
Yeah.
I mean, time to upgrade at that point.
If mine's too old, we're going to just build new shocks. I'm having it. I'm having that deal. That thing's cool. And I was like, you were showing me at PRI, we was turning, I'm like, man, like I want that. So I was already sending you my shocks. So why not like spice it up a little?
The order is already in. The parts are pulled. They're sitting on the shelf.
It's nice if the guy would send the damn shocks, right? Like, I'm gonna blame Gage.
I was on
vacation. Let me throw Gage under the bus. It's his fault. I ain't got the bike back in.
Nah, it ain't Gage's fault. It's okay. I was at PRI for that week, and then I got back, and then I was in Pensacola, and then I was at the Grinchmas, and then I got home and I was at work for a week. Then I was off for a week. So today was my first.
Yeah, I mean, the holidays, everybody's off a lot. I mean, some people took off the week of New Year, you know, so the whole week prior. And it
I got to take the shock off this bike behind me and send it in.
Yeah,
we know a guy.
No,
we do.
No.
We do. Cool. That's awesome. We're excited about that. That'll be cool. And as Dustin said, if you want that feature, you're probably likely to be able to add it on if you send your shock in. So, Greg Bitch Racing, what's up, brother? He says, is there a difference between recommended Penske shocks for Pro AT versus Top Gas with DME arm? Greg, nah, I mean, like for you, you're going to want the 8975 pretty much. Dustin will probably echo my sentiments. Luckily, I know you're in the giveaway tonight, so it could be your lucky night. But yeah, for you, 8975 is what you're going to want.
The slowest Busa's comment, it would be cool to get a roll race shock. We run Penske's, but a specific one would be nice or awesome. Also,
Done.
a super light one. We already do that. The 8975 kind of does that. I mean, that's what every roll race shock that I've sold was 8975, and I've not had one single roll racer complain about the shock. So that man right there in that image is nailing it when I send the order in. And
thank you.
We have that shock. You're wanting lightweight. It is the lightest shock that we can get, and that's the shock for you. The 8975 double adjustable. I'm bougie. I like getting the adjustable ride height just for the knob on the bottom. I mean, I always push that.
What guy don't like playing with knobs?
Yeah, I mean, like if you're in the back to the lanes thing, if you want to make adjustment, you ain't got an Allen wrench. Well, you can adjust it on the bottom real quick, and you ain't got to have one. It's just the simplicity, and it looks better. I think it just looks nice. It's very appealing. And if you want to fine tune your ride height, you have that option with that. So,
what would be what would be is that what you would go with though, Dustin? Is 8975 for them roll racing as well? And then I guess kind of another question is, I know some of those guys will they this guy might have a bike, right? And he's 220 and then he might put a rider on it. Mm-hmm. So is that an application where will we go back to an air shock, or what would you think on that if they're swapping riders and stuff?
Yeah. Different jockeys have the air shock. Okay.
It definitely stands out in that scenario. I think
let's start at the beginning. If you are racing this thing, if you're roll racing this thing on the streets of Mexico,
right?
Where you have a lot of variation in road conditions, and you can't predict every one that you're going to race at like you can your local tracks that you go to on a regular basis.
For sure.
So that's where a triple adjust would come into play. Most of the guys that I talk to and gals that do the roll racing and the street application, they also want to be able to ride this bike like it was intended in addition to the racing aspect. So now what you deal with there is you can't tune certain things in and out with a double adjust that you can with a triple.
Okay.
The high and low speed compression adjustment is where you're going to gain advantages for multi-use motorcycle. Let's say it that way.
Okay.
So if you race, you ride down the street to go get something to eat, you ride it on the weekends for a cruise. And then, Wednesday night at 4 a.m, you decide to travel to Mexico and go do a blasty blast for a couple of bucks. And then you decide to take it to the track the next weekend. So now you have 3 different surfaces that you're dealing with. And the 8975 is a great shock. It will do what you want, but the triple will be better.
Right.
And the triple, only flaw would be the triple's a little heavier, right? Because you got the piggyback or the reservoir.
Honestly, it might be a pound heavier, pound and a half when you get down to the brass tacks. I've never actually sat down and weighed them all side by side. I can do that to get specifics.
So we was talking about different size riders. The deal that I looked at PRI could almost, I don't know what a ½ inch would give you in spring pressure, but it would it would help.
If you have an 800-pound spring on the bike and you already have it set at ½ an inch of preload, you're at 400 pounds. And if you can add roughly a quarter of an inch, 1 revolution is 100 thou. So you can increase that spring rate from the 400 almost to 700 pounds just by turning a knob. So
that little tool might work out for that scenario.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And it will. I mean, that we We have 20,000 miles on Eric's bike with it on, and he's the gentleman that I did that road trip with last year.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and he had roughly about 150 pounds of gear in it on his bike, and I myself, I had about, I think, 130, 140, and I can tell you on my preload adjuster, not the external one like we have that we're talking about. I put 2 rounds of preload on my ride height based on the weight just to carry it, and I already have a heavier spring on because I like my suspension a little stiffer.
You're basically hauling a chick. You know what I mean? Like,
And that's how you got to look at it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if you got your average riders, you know, like 150 pounds, 140 pounds,
Yep.
and then you want to enter the same bike into a heavyweight class, and now that rider got to be at least 200 pounds or heavier to be in a heavyweight class. So your other rider's a little heavier. You can turn a little more preload in it with the adjuster and don't even have to adjust the settings on the shock. Yes, you might want to give it a little more rebound, maybe 2 to 3 more clicks just to keep it on the same playing field, because now the spring is naturally and the shock naturally is going to want to rebound faster with more preload.
Right.
But that again
Makes it more versatile for sure.
Exactly. You can take one shock and make it work for multi-applications or multiple riders and not have to change the spring and not have to go through all of that by going up 50 pounds. As long as you don't have too much preload on the spring already that you're worried about a coil binding.
Right.
Yeah, you would have to set that thing up for like the right spring for like the light rider, and then you could run the spring down to make it accommodate for the heavy rider.
Yeah,
but I think it would help. You know, the roll racer, you know, the slowest boost has said that he's 240 pounds and he has a jockey that's 160. So if he got a shock built for the 160 and then had that tool, the adjuster on there, probably be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's options, or the air shock. You know, I think the air shock is really the you just change the air pressure for your spring rate, basically.
I like that. Sorry. I like that though, what you guys were talking about. And Dustin, I think, said it best with the multi-use, you know, having the triple adjustable in the preload adjuster. Like that sounds like a perfect solution to, you know, these on the fly.
It's that or the air shock.
Yeah. I mean, but then you don't even have to worry so much about, you know, having nitrogen and getting it right and everything. Like if you're there in Mexico and it's like, hey, you just dusted somebody's ass, you know, being 225 and they want to race your buddy who's 150. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I mean, you literally have it set up in 30 seconds. That's awesome.
Yeah. The air shock, we try not to recommend using it for the street. It will work. It has been proven. There are several guys out there, you know, that
if something happens, you're going to be bottomed out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Versus a spring shock, if something happens, you ride on the spring. You know, it's no big deal. And now something usually don't happen with my homie up here, but if it ever does, my homie up here takes care of it. So.
Well, there's also more variables on the streets of Mexico, like we were talking about, as in like debris, whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. So yeah, thinking about that now, it sounds like we've identified the best multi-use application for
definitely going to be the option. I mean, you could go roll race, drag race, ride curves, throw a rider on there.
The slowest boost that he's already going to get with Mr. 43. Yeah, that's awesome, man. He'll
help you out, man.
He'll hook you up through Dustin. That's cool. Montreal, what's up, brother? How are you? JP says y'all need to make snowmobile shocks. I don't know nothing about snowmobiles. See, Dustin makes them.
Yep. Damn. We do snowmobiles, we do quads, we do dirt bikes.
You are in PA. That makes sense.
Yeah, the thing with the snowmobiles though, so we in-house don't build them let me rephrase that. We don't sell them in-house. So if you called me up tomorrow and said, hey, I have an Arctic Cat, blah, 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 I'm going to tell you what dealer to go see.
Right.
We only do those, and that was something that was done a few years back prior to me being there at Penske. I don't know the full details, nor do I know the dealer's name that we refer everybody to, but they are a full-blown snowmobile dealer, and that's all they do is snowmobiles, and they develop the shock with our techs. And so they are kind of the people that sell them. I mean, we can service them after the purchase. They don't have to go back to them. But we do.
Clark said, "What about the Grudge Shock? Is it the lightest?" Clark, you're using street terms. The Grudge Shock is the Penske 8975. That's the same shock that we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
And then JP, if you want, just message us and I'll get with Dustin about finding that contact if you need that for the snowmobile shocks.
Yep.
Is that all right?
Yep, absolutely.
The ET gangster Jeff Santine said, "What up, Jeff? You better be running a Penske. Do you? If not, tell RJ to order one."
If he's not, I'm going to have a talk with him.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We can pick on
Surely
some of
he
these
is.
people.
I think the ET gangster's got all the good stuff. I'm sure he does. The only thing I did notice is he's going to Holly to Max.
Jumping ship on you.
I mean,
y'all was gang there for a minute.
Yeah, I know it, man. He was like my little Holly brother. Now he's leaving me.
Yeah, well, it could have been worse, right?
Yeah, he could have definitely went worse. Woo! Dodged the bullet there because he was going there, and RJ talked him out of it.
There we go. ET Gangster said, "Of course, I've had a Penske for 3 seasons, and it is incredible." All right, that's what I hear. Chris Sikowski, what's up, brother? How are you tonight? In case y'all didn't know, like if you missed out on that like perfect explanation from Dustin of multi-use shock, and like didn't key in that this man knows what the F is up, like he knows what's going on. Like don't think Dustin doesn't know. I mean, everything from the Mexico blast at 4 a.m. Like he knows what's up. Like y'all,
look, man,
that should have been very apparent from that description. That
Dustin is the one guy that you can't stump the chump. Like if you ask him something about a shock, he's going to have a damn answer because he knows them. Like it's just
well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like I wanted our listeners, everybody to make sure that they know that like this is a man that lives and breathes it. Yeah. He goes to the racetrack, he rides bikes himself. Like, I mean, that's good. That's cool. Yep. It's tight knit. It makes you feel better when
it only makes sense. Stuff. It's like me selling race parts and I'm a racer. It makes sense. Like it, if you live it and you do it and you've tested things yourself, you learn more knowledge of, oh, that don't work, or that's great.
If you follow me on Facebook and you actually saw, I know you two did, the posts about my journey, that road trip that I did with Eric. Yeah. At the very end, I did a separate post and I put, not only am I an employee, but I am a customer. I use what we sell. I mean, I had Penske's on my 64 Volkswagen Beetle that I street drove. I have them on my motorcycle now. I had them on my Harley, and my buddy that drag races air-cooled cars, he has them on 2 of his cars as well. The one car has them front and back. So, and as far as what I do, I mean, I'm import races. I do the Pro Mod races, the Street Outlaw stuff, the No Prep King stuff. So I'm doing all kinds of cars. I'm doing drag bikes. I'm doing sports car stuff, whether it be the SCCA or IMSA racing,
one that you just now said that I think is probably the most complicated is the damn imports. Like, how do you tune a shock on a front wheel drive? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Malanta.
It can be tricky. A lot of the guys,
because they have to spin. Like they got to spin when they leave to like make it work. If they bog, it's done.
Right. They need to spin a little bit. So that's where the separation of the front end occurs, right at that spinning point. And when that suspension tops out on the front, that's when the grip starts to happen. You're helping to get the tire formed and get it into its attitude,
See, guys, I tried to stump the chump and he's got answers still.
That's wild.
Even the imports, like he's just
I try.
It.
No, that's wild though. Just hearing like the explanation of that.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, I've never really thought about front suspension on that. That's wild.
I watched them guys at World Cup. I'm like, good Lord, that looks like I don't even know where to start. Is that deal?
It's the complete. You do exactly the complete opposite of what
as
you
a
do
motorcycle,
like a Pro Mod car, or a regular door car. Or a bracket car. The suspension on a 4-link is completely different to a front end car, front wheel drive car. I mean, even the all wheel drive cars like the Red Baron and some of the Talons and stuff like that, they're all wheel drive. And then if you get into the Supras that are IRS cars, the suspension setup's completely different in the shock for them as well. And it's how you tame it, how you control it and what
I mean,
you can do.
it's like a front wheel drive 4-wheeler. You never would think about how to make it work. You know what I mean?
No.
Because they got A arms, and it's just like, oh God, that's just terrible. Like yeah. But man, them things are fast. Like it's cool watching them. I do like watching them.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that's so let me ask you this. I know you made it to some XDA events last year. Are there any that you know that are on schedule? What's the plans for that? Are you guys going to be able to make any this year?
So, as it stands now, I'm about ready to next week. I'm waiting on the email from the Miller boys for the renewal for 2024. Once I get that, 9 times out of 10, we're going to do the same thing as we did last year. We're going to re-up for all the races and try to have the truck and trailer at a minimum of 3.
Awesome.
I would love to be there for all of them. I think there's 6 this year.
There is. Yep.
I would love to be there with the truck and trailer for all of them to do service work to help everybody out that is having issues. On foot, I'm going to do my best to be there every race that I can, and as I did last year. But unfortunately, being that I am multitasking and working in so many different,
motorcycles is a small network too. People's got to realize that. Like, I mean, we feel like we live in a big happy family, but when you compare it to the car world, we're just a little flake off that, But you guys got other things to worry about as well.
The problem is that we have so many racing series that we are part of, and all racing.
Did y'all just hear that? They support the series, so like their sponsor XDA. That's why you buy from people like that, because they're what's giving us a place to race. I guess because I do it now and I know what it costs. It's like, man, like y'all gotta help us.
We were going over that the other night. I mean, that's one of the reasons I want to ask though too, because I mean, we were talking like Dustin 43X. He jokes a lot and everybody knows this, but I might be able to get him to say it out loud on the slide feed, but like Fuel Tech being there and supporting their ECUs, like that was something like we've talked about as a group.
I've always bragged on
amazing,
them being
right?
there. That's a support that should be pushing you to purchase a product.
Yeah, and same deal with Penske, like what y'all are there, and I feel like the shock stuff, we've talked about it. Dustin's been on the University of Wind trying to provide some setup knowledge there and walk us through the members of different scenarios. But like I feel like there's a lot of people that think shock and chassis setups are like black magic, like like you had to go to a special a school and have a special crystal around your neck or something, which I'm not saying like I'm an expert, but the point of the matter is it's not that crazy once you know a few basic techniques and setups, and that combined with Dustin being helpful and being at the track, like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, one of the big things is like, okay, you go and you ask Dustin at Penske a question about your shock. He's teaching you something if you'll listen.
Right.
Like he's taught me stuff. I've had questions and I'll, shoot him a message and he'll hit me back. And sometimes I'll like ask a question and what my answer I think it is, and he'll tell me if I'm right or wrong. And I like that because I learn. It's always okay to ask questions. Now you can be an asshole and not listen. We don't like that. But you can ask questions and listen, and that's awesome. That's what we're here. That's what we do. Like that's as a business, that's your job. That's what we do. We want to see you prosper. If we give you advice, that's what we wholeheartedly think you should do. Take it. If we tell you we don't know, then you don't have to do what we ask. It's just
right.
I don't know. I just feel like that. Just talking to people and answering questions is like you're being a teacher when you're not really paid to be a teacher, and they should absorb that. It's free knowledge.
Yeah.
Just being at the racetrack, you could roll by their trailer and stick your head in there and say, "Hey, what's?" And they would tell you an answer, and then you'd be on your way.
Yep.
Well, we'll definitely do our best to try and promote when we hear from you. Leading up to events when Penske's going to be there with the trailer to try and get everybody lined up for that, and so forth. And as Dustin said, we of course appreciate the continued support of the sport as a whole.
Absolutely,
it's a big deal, guys. I push that a lot. Like, just if you see a company sponsoring a class, it's not cheap. Like it adds up. And then they're traveling there. Like, let's just say they make 3 races this year from PA. you know, it's $1,000 trip at least.
Yeah.
Easy.
You know, so the sponsorship times $3,000, you know, adding $3,000 to it. Then they got to have, you know, accommodations, place to sleep, and hotels and food, and I Penske shop. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, but that's all good points though, and like you're just touching the surface of like, okay,
yeah, man, it's a lot of money to be there.
Well, like it's one thing to just put your name on it, but like when you actually start going to, and you know, hopefully, you know, the trailer can make it to 3 races, and you know, hopefully Dustin himself can make it to, you know, 1 or 2 extra after that. But you know, if Penske can make it as a business there to 4 or 5 races, even if it's just Dustin walking around,
just one, you know what I mean? It's
but
a big deal.
That's the point, is like those costs could actually far and exceed what they paid to be the sponsor. So like it's just a lot going on.
And racers know this. We all travel to these races. We know what it costs, you know, and that's why we see the light a lot easier than just someone that don't go travel to races. They might race local, but we know what it costs. I mean, I always figure if I'm going racing, there goes a G. Like I'm spending $1,000.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And hopefully I can win one of the 18 classes and I'm racing to get my money back, you know, or sometimes at least half of it or something, you know.
Yeah.
You know, the events that I go to that, you know, I'm just there on foot. You know, I do have my tools in my pocket. I have my shock adjustment tools in my pocket. I got a tape measure in my pocket. You know, I have that stuff with me, and I have stuff in the DME trailer as well that, you know, we need springs. If D Lee don't have them in stock, if you know, I can go, I have people I can go to get the product that you as the riders can buy from them. I'll help you put it on. I'll help get the bike back set up. You know, I mean,
did y'all just hear that? That's just freaking amazing, man.
Yeah. So I had the trip when I was down in the Grinchmas, I hand delivered a shock to a customer that was built, sitting, waiting on some results and some info, let's say. And it was all from a phone call while I was in an airport previously. And I got to the hotel, I checked in, I grabbed the box, I went to Grinchmas and I hand delivered it to the said customer. And he was like, holy shit. I'm like, yes, this is the shock that we talked about. I said, here you go, my friend. And he was overjoyed. And you know, I can't promise that for everybody.
But it made you happy just doing that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, God, it's awesome. That stuff makes me so happy, man.
Exactly. I'm doing a service for the customers. I'm doing the services for the dealers. We, Penske, we are there to support the people that support us. Because without you guys, we don't exist.
We all got to go in a circle. We got to make the world go round, man. Like, I tell people that feels like every day. Like, you know, it all runs full circle. That's why I give back to the sport. I mean, being in the Red Hill and University may even be doing something for the sport.
So we're trying to. We're working on it.
We're just you know, if it helps me, I got to give back so it helps the person that's helping me. And that's the way I think our whole world needs to listen to that.
Yeah, right.
Our powers that be listen to that.
Well, yeah, something. But no, that's we'll definitely, like I said, as we get, you know, into race season and all, we'll make sure that we're letting everybody know, you know.
Oh man, Jeff has a Dustin Lee question.
Hold on, we'll get to those. All right. Let's catch up real quick. We'll get down there. Tom Grooms, our buddy Tom Grooms says, "My ninjas, we
That's
appreciate
my
it."
dude.
Just so y'all know, like Tom Grooms is a podcast supporter, but he is no part of the giveaways because he chose not to. So he just chose to support us directly. He doesn't subscribe. He just PayPal'd us some
But
good.
If you want to gamble on some golf and you're in Florida, go hit him up.
But we appreciate that type of support. You know, like Tom from the get go is like, hey, here's some money, get this thing going. I enjoy listening, you know, and rock with it. Then we got our boy from the school, James Henson. What's up, brother? We'll talk with you tomorrow for sure. Crystal Spires said Cody Spires, Penske. Oh, she's telling Cody about the shot giveaway. Slowest Boost is looking for a salvage title, new Gixxer frame. Oh, Chuck Stewart. What's up, Chuck? Chuck said, shout out to Dustin Zerr. He answered my basic questions about my janky junk when it was day one of SEMA. For sure, man. Chuck, man, I miss seeing you, brother. Hopefully we see you at a race. Yeah, soon. Tom 25, Tom Fuel Tech to the front.
Killing me, Tom.
Crystal said Cody Spires is an asshole. James Henson, shout out FTC. All right, now we're back to ET Gangster. The question for Dustin Zerr: on average, how many seasons do guys typically get on a shock before it needs to be serviced? I was under the impression that's supposed to be fairly regular, but I finished 3 seasons of very heavy use and it's been perfect. All right, Jeff, before they answer, I've got you way beat on that, and I am sending my shocks in after talking with Dustin, this is off camera, off site. Like, we need to be sending these shocks in.
I'm a bad boy too.
Go ahead.
Shall I give you the D. Lee answer, or should I give you the company answer?
Give them the company answer, because I'm a gambler. I like to live it on the edge.
All right. So from the realistic side of things, think of it this way. Every season in the downtime, you're servicing your motors, you're servicing, the bike itself, you're checking over it and everything like that. The shock's no different. It does have synthetic oil in it. It does hold up to a lot of abuse. In perfect example, I cracked open a shock today, and it has 6,200 miles on it of racetrack miles. So we're talking abuse.
Yeah.
And when I cracked it open, the oils definitely shows age. It shows signs of wear, but the shock still dyno's okay. But that doesn't mean that everything is copacetic.
Right.
The oil in the shock starts to break down. The additive package in the oil breaks down, just like it does the oil in your engine in your car or your bike or anything else that has motor oil in it that sees heat. What ends up happening, the shock can cavitate if the oil gets too aerated and starts to break down too much, which then the shock's not going to perform consistently the same. In addition to that, it can also start to break down the actual anodizing inside the shock of the main body. It can also affect the piston and things like that. There are shocks that are on the road that we get back on road bikes that, for example, the one had 100,000 miles on it. It was a BMW. The guy was a big adventure bike guy. He sent it in, and the shock internally was just about destroyed. We were able to save 90% of the shock and get it back to him, but it did cost him some money. And unfortunately, when the oil starts wearing down, the piston band that's in there is constantly scraping against the side. And when the oil breaks down, the top out rubbers start to deteriorate over time. It's just like adding sand to the inside.
It eats itself alive, just like an engine does.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got another thing to add to that, and we talked about this at PRI because I was wanting to have a product to aid to it. Driving down the road, your bike strapped in the trailer, every bump you hit, that shock is doing something. Every bump you hit, the shock. Car guys have the little bladders. Me and Dustin talked about this at PRI. Like, it'd be cool to have something for a bike that you could put under it and, kind of take the load off the shock, because every bump you hit in your truck, you go, God, that was rough. Your shock back there on your race bike tied down done the same thing.
That's a good point.
So to answer the question 100%, what I would say is this. I would say if you are in the D Lee category where you're round robbining, you're racing multiple classes, and you're just beating the tar out of your bike every weekend, that you go to the race and you go to 30 races a year, send them in at the end of the year.
Yeah.
If you only go, for example, to the XDA events, and for example, you're at 6 races a year, you have some test time in there, you can get away with, and you're running one class, you can get away with doing them every 2 years, every 3 years.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is to make sure that there's enough nitrogen in the shock at the beginning of every season. Schrader valves do fail, especially if you don't have a cap on it. The caps that we provide are stainless, and they do have a rubber O-ring on the inside, a rubber seal, that is. If the cap's loose, cap falls off. Now the Schrader valve's exposed. It is a NASCAR-style Schrader valve that's good to 1,000 PSI. It is of good quality. but they do fail. And, if that's open and the dirt's getting in there and it leaks, now your shock is basically not going to do what it's supposed to. There's no nitrogen in it. You're going to start to cavitate the oil, and the oil is going to break down even faster, hence the downward spiral. So all in all,
you give them the advice they needed to hear.
Yeah.
So
I'm
Jeff,
going to brag on Penske a little bit that mine was bolted on my bikes in 2016, and they have not been off my bike since.
Nope.
Yeah, but that's like
a lack of
rare
maintenance
by
mine.
you. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you're usually on top of your shit.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
if I told anybody that, nobody would be surprised. But
Yeah.
like the fact that you haven't, it's like, man, come
I'm
on.
just like scared to, but Dustin assured me it'll
Hey.
be okay. So
Jeff, ET Gangster, answer your question, send it in. I'm sending mine in.
I'm sending 2 in.
And I'm sure like the actual now I know it's going to vary on shock and if you have to replace parts, but I'm sure like a normal service isn't that crazy versus just tearing your shock up after years of use and buying a new one. So,
and I was going to get into that. So an 8975 right now retails for basically $10.50.
mm-hmm.
So you're investing good hard-earned money on that shock. To service it, it's $185 plus shipping. And if you look at what you get, we take the shock, we get it in, we clean it, we dyno it as received. We record the settings that the shock had in it. We check nitrogen levels, etc. Then we blow the shock completely apart. We're replacing every O-ring in the shock, and the 8975 has roughly about 15 to 18 individual O-rings inside the shock. Other than what you can just typically see.
Right.
We're also
Idiot.
the scraper seal, the top out rubber that's in there. We completely blow the shock apart. We replace all the shims with new shims. We put a new backup O-ring underneath the piston band, and then we're also inspecting everything and looking for any failures or any damage that's going to be detrimental to the performance of the shock in the future.
I'm just thinking about this little O-ring in there that's probably dry rotted. That's just waiting to retire for me.
Well, they're all in oil, so I mean that's the
dry
advantage.
rotted, but unless you leaked out of oil.
I just now replaced the old O-ring on my truck because of oil pressure this evening. So,
yeah.
God.
But, we use Viton and we use Buton O-rings. So I mean they are, and we use quality O-rings too. I mean we're not using the run-of-the-mill stuff that you go buy at.
He didn't get his O-rings from Harbor Freight.
You said it, I didn't. And also we're replacing the shock shims that do all the magic inside. We're doing all the piston shims. We replace them. We're also polishing the shafts of the shock. No smart ass comments. And we're also inspecting them for cracks and chips and dings and things like that. So, I mean, the service time is usually about 3 to 4 hours, pending how bad the shock is. And we can set it up. Yeah, see, I see the chuckle. That's why I didn't want to say, 'cause I know you guys
I'm changing your name in my phone for sure.
Okay. But at the end of the day, you're getting the shock back. Other than any cosmetic damage to it that you created, it's going to be just as good as it was the day you bought it. And you might have to do some adjustments to it when you get it back, as far as the compression, rebound, etc. Because now the shock is like it was the day you bought it. The shims aren't all bent up and beat up, and the oil's all broke down. So
awesome. So
I love having y'all as friends.
Basically, excuse me. Oh, sorry. Anyways, basically, everybody send your shock in because we know nobody's servicing their shock like they need to.
They're going to flood them with shocks rebuilds. Mine's going to be in the back of the line.
Andre said, I have 7 Cs on my Penske, still working great, but sending for service this week. Bit overdue. All right. Yep. Good deal, man. We are as well. The slowest Busa, Mr. 43, do you own MTZ or your dealer? He ought to own part of it.
I use MTC clutches, and I am a dealer with MTC clutches.
And he provides support if you buy from him.
See.
So yeah, get with him if you need that. Nick Noble, our boy Nick, he said there's 2 types of racers: those who have Penske and those who are Ducks. Appreciate that support. Let's see, Jared, what's up? How you doing, brother? That's my brother from my local boy. Grew up with him. Tom said, Dustin Zerr, I need a monoshock swing arm dragster shock. What's the very best you have available, and will you sell me one? Well, I'm sure he can hook you up with something.
Absolutely. Again, we need some dimensions from you and exactly, what you're doing with it. So, I mean, the 8760, which is our triple adjust piggyback, kind of like the shock that's in the background behind me, is what I would recommend for your application. We can get a little crazy with some pneumatics on it too that are CO2 operated if that's on your dragster.
Tom likes crazy. That's your guy. He'll do whatever you say. I'm telling you, like he wants it right.
Well, that's the thing. We can go from mild to wild on the dragster stuff, and it's gonna boil down to how much you actually need and are going to use. We don't want to oversell you something that you're never going to use, and then you're like, well, why did I spend this money for it? You know what I mean? So, I mean, we can definitely help you out. Jerry Whittick.
Tom, had a Busa, and he, of course, had Penske shocks. He actually bought two. He bought one, and he was like, I should listen to you, Dustin. Not the other one. Whatever. But he is a Penske guy. Like, he had a Busa, had two different shocks on it, loved it. It worked great. So he knows where to buy. Yeah. So he'll definitely.
Yeah, y'all. I know y'all will. The Dustins will connect Tom for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then James said, how often do piston shims fail?
In drag bike world, very rarely do you see it. In motocross, in sports car side of things, in sports car especially more so, kind of in like the SCCA series and things like that, curbing is a big deal. Those huge spikes that they see when they hit the curb, and especially if they go off the curb or if the car gets airborne and it slams down real hard, depending on the situations, you can bend shims, you can crack the shim if it's real thin. And especially if they're old and they've been on the vehicle, for a long, extensive period of time, and again, hasn't been serviced, things like that. It is a spring steel that's in there. It is going to fatigue. It is going to wear out. And overextending the shim by that, curbing it, getting the right rear wheel off the track, or the whole back end's off the track, and you slam the car back down, that's forcing a lot of fluid through softer shims, and it can definitely crack the shims. I mean, we've seen it. It happens. Not so much in the motorcycle world. I haven't seen much of it in that.
Yeah. Okay. That answers that. And then Jeff said, what's a typical turnaround time for servicing, which I know is a broad question, but he'll still have an answer.
Average is 2 to 3, 4 to 6, depending on our workload.
Yeah. So get them in now.
Yeah. So just to make it short, I know I can talk a lot. Like you guys have heard, I can make a friend with a mannequin. So the service work comes in, we receive it, and then it's usually about a 24-hour turnaround time before it's put into queue into the system. So whenever your shock came in, you're at the end of the line, and whoever's in front of you, they're first. It's a first come, first serve basis. We do offer expedite services. That does cost more because we are jumping in front of everybody else that's in line.
The hopper pass.
It's something we offer, but we try not to do that because it's not fair to those that have waited. So.
Heck yeah. Okay, cool. Let's see. What's up, Kevin? Appreciate the support. Yeah, slowest Busa. Get with Dustin. He will get you straight on clutch, shock, all that stuff. All right, y'all want to give some stuff away? I think it's time that we give away some stuff.
Dustin's got a few minutes left.
Yeah, we gotta
get
Dustin
a little bit yet. I got a little bit yet.
Well, we'll give away some stuff, and then if you got to run, cool, and then we'll me and D Lee will go over some year-end stuff that I'm proud of. But yeah. All right. So I finally got the screen sharing working. Here's what we're going to do, y'all. We're doing 5 giveaways tonight. Okay. We already decided this. There will be a giveaway for 3. Where's my fingers? There they are. 3 $50 gift certificates to Schnitz Racing. We appreciate the whole Schnitz family and their support of the podcast. There will be a Dustin Lee Racing Hard Times Parts and Service goodie package, which
with jerky.
With beef jerky and possibly T-shirts, maybe even a custom tumbler. Like, there'll be goodies there. So that'll be 4. And then, of course, giveaway number 5 is an 8975 Penske
Big
Racing
Daddy.
shock. So, all right, y'all ready? Let's see here. Let me figure out and do this again. I got the wheel queued up. Let's see. Select window, entire screen. Can y'all see it?
Yep. You can stretch it out some if you want. There you go.
There you go.
All right. So, as we mentioned, this is every subscriber, Patron drinker. Y'all are all in it. And then it ended up actually being 98 additional entries. We said that we were maxed out at 100. We were actually 2 shy, but that's okay. So it's 182 total entries. So some people, when we did the additional entries, they purchased additional entries. That was okay. We talked about that. So we're giving away. Yeah, we appreciate everybody's support. Like, literally, in addition to the sponsors, without you
Without
Patreon
everybody
supporters
working together.
Yeah, like, this is what keeps it going, because we're enjoying this, and we enjoy the feedback we get from everybody. That's probably our number one source of continual feedback from everybody. But it obviously takes time and money just to operate this, where there's application. I mean, what we're using tonight is a monthly fee. I think it's nothing crazy, but I think it's $25 or $30 a month, and we might not even use it every month. Anyways, without further ado, we will give away a gift certificate for Schnitz Racing.
All of you that were at PRI, we had Ryan Schnitz's personal bike in our booth. Great family, great company to deal with. Thank you to them.
We got a bunch of good companies supporting the podcast.
Yeah,
you can barely see these names because there's so many.
It'll pop it up big when it lands on it.
I know who this is going to be. Congratulations, Mike Hansen. You won a gift certificate.
He's got that whole spread right there.
Yeah, well, all right. So we got to remove one. All right. So we will do. All right. So, Dustin, you taking notes?
No, I can, though.
You got a notepad. That way I'm not going off and on the screen. All right. Take notes. Mike won a $50 gift certificate. Congratulations. Y'all ready? Spin number 2. I need Jeopardy music. This one will be another gift certificate to Schnitz Racing. Let's see. Watch it land on Mike again or something. Nope, it's not. Who are we landing on this time? Big Kev, what's up? All right, you got a Schnitz Racing gift certificate.
That one down.
Got it? All right. We will do. How about the Hard Times Parts and Service goodie package?
Send it.
It's sent. Send her down on through there. And if y'all buy enough Penske Racing shocks, then we might be able to convince Dustin and Penske to continue on with another deal for next year.
We're in. We'll work out the logistics.
I love you, man. Just want to say that.
Love you too, buddy.
All right, Mike won again.
Oh, dang, big baller. He got the hard time. Hard times guy got the hard times.
So that's 2 for those. That's probably not what he wanted it to land on. As we mentioned,
he's using up all his good ones. Yeah, his wins.
Yeah, there was the ability to purchase additional entries for the Penske shot giveaway. So where are we at? Are we at the Penske shot giveaway now?
That was 3. We've done with Mike 1, Big Kev 1, Mike 1.
Oh, wait. So Mike won your goodie package.
Yeah, we got one more.
All right. I'm just checking. All right, keep me straight. All right. Here goes for the last $50 gift certificate to Schnitz. Let's see here. What are we getting on now? Mike has a lot of entries. So does Mr. Boyd. All right, Boyd got him a gift certificate. All right, are y'all
Cool.
ready? Are we ready to wheel it?
Yeah, this is the big one. I hate when it does this trifecta thing.
Okay, all right. Are y'all ready? Can we change? How does this work? Can you change the time to spin? I feel like we need longer
Yeah,
time.
if you go to there should be a settings.
Oh, I just clicked it.
Well, it's going.
All right,
It is what it is. This was destiny.
We're
This was
sending it,
God's
yeah.
choice.
Tried to change the settings, and we're not messing with the settings. Can y'all
Mike said
see
he
the
needs
names?
that shock.
Can y'all see the names? Because
It's hard to read.
Yeah, it's very
When
hard
it
to
slows down, you can see it pretty good.
oh Lord, I think he got it.
Oh,
He
he
did
did.
He
He's
did
got it. Strategy.
That was a strategy. Wow, congratulations.
Now I
Congratulations.
Just
got
so
the
y'all
shock.
know, Mike spent the most money on entries for that.
Well,
sure.
me and Mike was talking the other day, and he was telling me he needed to get a Penske shock, but he was waiting for this first.
All right.
So guess what? You got a Penske shock, brother.
Yep.
You got
All right, we're going to do one more, okay? And what we're going to do is I actually meant to do this. We're going to do only subscribers because I realized we were doing everybody.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure we give all of our, just longtime supporters. Y'all all
Yep.
had a chance, but I want to do something extra. So let's see. I'm just resetting the wheel. All right, we only have Patron drinkers. Are y'all ready? Let's see.
These are our people right here.
Oh,
This is
everybody's our people. If they bought
Yeah.
the entries, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But all
Well,
right,
most people that bought the entries are actually
there we go.
subscribers.
Y'all ready?
Anyway. Yep.
This is going to be a to be determined gift. Dustin and I will put our heads together after the fact. I guarantee you it will be at least worth $50. It could be more. It could be epic.
Oh, we can make it more. I got this.
It'll be something good, but it'll be TBD.
Oh man, I feel like it might be Garrett. Ooh, it is.
Boom.
Or it's going to be Frank.
No,
It's Garrett.
Garrett, we will get with you on a special win. All right, cool. First off, we appreciate everybody who contributed. Like we said, we did the extra. I know we'll probably get some complaints, but we did do the extra entries for the Penske shock because Dustin and Penske provided that. $1,000,
It helps me and Ben
$50. But it helps. Yeah, the purpose of the extra entries was to put money in the podcast, just so y'all know. And I could run the financials for y'all, but they're very disappointing. So just know we're not eating lobster and shrimp every night off of the podcast.
Well,
But
if you do see meat, lobster, and shrimp, my wife paid for it.
Yeah, for sure. Kevin said this wheel is broken. Man, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Like I said, we had a bunch of people, probably 10 or 12 buy a bunch of entries in the shock. So appreciate everybody for that. And then what else we got going on? Anything you want to say, Dustin, before you jump off? I know you got to get going here soon.
Yep, I'm going to answer a couple of the chat questions that I have seen
that
here.
Popped up. Yeah.
Yep. So Pete Hyatt said, "What can I do basically for a lightweight rider? The same thing we do for everybody else. When we take the order for the shock, regardless of where it's ordered from, D. Lee will attest to this. We need to know wheelbase, rider weight, what you're doing with the bike, what your intentions are with the bike, and we can build the shock appropriate for riders from 90 pounds, 75 pounds on like a YZ450 dirt bike all the way up. Because everything we do is custom, we definitely can take care of you. So that
tell us what you got, and we'll give you what you need.
Yep,
that's what we do.
Yep. And then James Henson says, "Does Penske have user manuals online?" Yes, on our website under resources. If you go to the Penske website, PenskeRacingShocks.com. Top right-hand corner, you will see 3 hash marks. Click on those hash marks, and in there under motorcycle, you can find resources. almost all the manuals are on there for the shocks that we offer, except for the air shock. Unfortunately, the air shock is one of those you need to talk to somebody, and we're a phone call away. So,
And if you buy a shock, it's got that little thing you can scan with your phone.
When you buy a shock, it comes with a QR code manual, which covers multiple shocks. So we have one for street use. We have one for drag racing. When you scan the code, you'll have to find your shock. I mean, there's a whole bunch of information in there for different shock models. So just find the one that you need, and then you can review it from there.
What else did we miss here? P Coop. Yeah, we talked about that. We'll give you the short and sweet. Dustin and Penske, they're gonna try to make it to about 3 events, about half of them with the trailer, if possible, to provide like full on service, everything. But if not, Dustin himself is going to try and make it to as many as he can, and he is equipped from what he brings, along with Dustin and DME, to do most everything he would need to do. So
let me assure you on something. If my man Dustin ain't there, come see me.
Yeah,
I help you, and I can
know
get a hold of
come
him if I need to. We got this.
I'm a phone call away. If I'm not at that track, I'm at another track. So, I'm a phone call away. Dustin has my number. I have no problem answering phone calls from him. I've talked to him already at 11 o'clock at night.
We have done that.
Shaft polisher on speed dial. We got it.
You need to calm down over there. You need to calm down.
This is the best thing.
Oh shit!
You know what that? You know what that
means?
That's one strike against you.
I already changed it in my phone. Oh man!
If you do and I see it, I promise you, you won't have a phone after I see it.
I'm gonna make sure that we get your photo on the background too. Let's see. All right. Is there anything else you getting off here? Oh, hold on. One more. Let's see. Jay James for our all-out grudge racer, air shock or triple. Ooh, that's a lot.
It's hard to match the triple, man. I'm just saying that's probably the most common one out there.
All right. I'm gonna break it down like this.
We're gonna go back to like the rider weight variances, or what?
No. Because most of the grudge guys, the guy riding the bike is typically the guy that rides the bike.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not, you're not jumping from, 110, 120 pound rider to 180 to 210. The guy riding that bike that's in control of that missile is typically the guy. So for ease of use, for better terms, ease of use, the triple spring shock is the go-to. If you race at multiple tracks up and down the East Coast, wherever you're racing, and you race at so many different tracks and so many different conditions, the air shock is the way to go. But I will tell everybody, and if you call me and try to order an air shock from me, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions to make sure that you fully understand what you're buying. The air shock is like an old car or a needy woman. You got to give it attention. You have to
maintain the pressures,
learn it, understand it. It's like the old saying, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't get the horse to drink it. You have to put in the time and effort. I can give you the basic knowledge of the hydraulic side of the shock, which is the same in the triple spring shock versus the air shock. It's the same hydraulic principle. The air portion is the needy part. Yes, they will lose pressure. The pressure does change, just like the pressure in your tires. Cold night, the shock's going to lose air just like the air in your tires do. We do the best we can. I assemble them to the best of my ability to get them that they don't leak. But you must check your air pressure before every pass. You need to know where you're at, because 5 pounds makes a difference. You wouldn't think that, but 5 pounds changes the spring rate of it overall. And that's, and in the words of D. Lee, spinning ain't winning. And
saying that, both versions of those shocks have been really fast on race.
Yes.
Yeah.
Both those shocks
are very capable.
Have set world records that we all know. They have set personal bests. They have won championships. They have won tuner championships. They have won so much in all of the racing we do, not just the drag bike world, but those shocks, hands down, the triple and the air shock, hands down.
Yeah. So Jay, basically, you know, as Dustin said, if you're going to a bunch of different tracks and you know that you're going to be on top of all these little details, then get with them about talking about air shock. But if you're not paying attention to every single detail and staying on top of this shock, and if you're kind of relegated to a small track area where the prep's pretty much always the same, just go with the triple.
Yeah.
And look, this is coming from me. I've had them both. I had the air shock on when I was running Real Street. I liked it. It worked really well because my wheelbase was changing event to event. And it provided me, different track. Like, I think it was a good use for that. As soon as I stopped racing Real Street and started bracket racing, I literally sold my air shock and bought a triple adjustable because I wasn't keeping up with that shit. Like,
they're for sure the shock.
Yeah.
Like, you have a checklist before you go.
Right.
To
Yeah.
you know
And
what I
so
mean?
for me, and as far as like performance wise, oh my goodness, like this bike is phenomenal with the triple. It just, I wanted that flexibility and being able to change stuff there. So, let's see. And then real quick, last question for Dustin, because he got to get the heck off of here. Bert said, in the air shock, is it pump air or nitrogen? It's nitrogen, right? That's what it should be, at least.
We ship them out with nitrogen, and we would prefer the nitrogen just for consistency. In a pinch, you can use a pump, like a fork pump for your mountain bikes, or the what you would use on the forks of your motorcycle, etc. If you have one, but they only go to 300 psi. So the majority of our air shocks are, in the 325 to 450 range of pressure. And the only way you're going to achieve that is a nitrogen tank. Do not use nitrous. I don't care if you're in a pinch. I don't care what situation you're in. Do not put nitrous in your shock.
I also feel like compressed air could have a lot of moisture going in the shock.
Yeah, that's the other thing, the condensation, the moisture from the compressed air. And no air compressor that I know of that you're going to have at a racetrack in a trailer is going to be able to go to 350 pounds.
Right.
Tank will blow up. The safety blow-offs, I think, are at 180.
We can take that down.
Oh man. All right. Well, we're gonna let Dustin Zerr get off here. Man, we sure appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. We appreciate the support that you and Penske have given the podcast and honestly our personal racing as well this past year. It means a lot.
Your friendship to us, brother.
Yep,
we appreciate
for sure. So just want to thank you and hopefully we convinced, if nothing else, some people to buy some shocks tonight because hey.
Yep.
Or service some.
This is one of our best sponsors, right? I mean, we love all our sponsors, and to give away a $1,000 shock, I mean, that's money that they could have sold that shock for $1,000. So we appreciate everybody who subscribed and
I literally could have sold that shock for $1,000 because Mike won it.
yeah, exactly. Oh,
so
man.
Yeah, you're very welcome, guys. I do appreciate letting us jump on board early on. And being
you were the first man. You were the first one, dude.
Supporter of the podcast, and thank you to all our dealers and customers and riders worldwide that run our products, regardless of the series that it races in. You guys at the end are the reason that I have a job and everybody else has a job,
Hell, even the guy on the back row with the Street Glide with some on them. I mean,
Yep.
I'm a big fan of those because I've tried them. I've tested them.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, hey, the intentions are we'll be down at Daytona Bike Week doing installs and selling.
We talked about that at PRI.
Yep. I mean, it's
take a lot with you, brother.
The logistics side of it is being worked on as we speak, and we're going down there swinging, and whatever happens. Let's put you that way. But
that's why I don't have a Harley, because to get a Harley where I want it would be another $25,000. So I'm like,
I do know about that.
Yeah, yep. I know.
I did that.
But yes, you're very welcome to everyone. Hopefully some of the stuff I've shared the 2 times, the 3 times that I've been on has helped you. And again, hit up D Lee if you have some tracks, need some support at the track that I'm not there. He can reach out to me. We can make it all work. At the end of the day, we're also a phone call away. When you call in, you talk to myself, you talk to Eric. You know, I mean, we are riders. We own motorcycles. We've done this all our life in one way or another. You know, I
Just
drag
try
race
to stump
myself.
the chump. It ain't going to happen. Trust me.
We'll make it. We'll make it work. We'll make it
Awesome.
work.
Awesome. All right, brother, get off here. We know you
All
got
right,
other
guys.
stuff to attend
All right,
to,
man.
so
See you,
we
buddy.
appreciate it. We'll
All
talk.
right. Have a good night, guys.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
All right. Is back to your favorite redneck and your favorite hillbilly. And real quick, let's see here. What else we got going on here? Dustin and I want to go over some of our podcast stats for the year. Let's see. We need to catch up on anything. Oh, the squirrel man says, "What's up? Penske shocks are amazing." Yep, appreciate it. Yeah, Tom, man, I try to give you the down low on that shock, man. Arthur,
I think we both told
appreciate it.
Tom that.
Yeah. James shouting out appreciation. P Coop, man, I do not that, but I know you have nice stuff, so I can only imagine how your street glide is set up. But yeah, I'm sure it probably checks most of the boxes I need, but I don't need it, you know. Let's see, boy.
So you was talking about spending money on a Harley. I
Right.
bought one. It was
Yeah.
like 15 grand. And then by the time I got done with it, I had 25 grand in it.
That's what I'm
don't
saying.
think-
Like, because I mean,
I didn't
don't
even do
wanna-
cosmetics. It was just performance back.
Well, no,
like
that's my
engine
point.
and shocks.
And I don't want to offend any diehard Harley people, you know, but they're giant.
The
piles
factory
of shit.
suspension. I'm going to say that again. Like when I rode my bike when it was stock suspension, it was scary at speeds. When I
Yeah.
put the Penske's Heritage shocks on it, oh my God.
That's
like
what I'm
it felt
saying.
like a sport bike then. It was
So
like, that was
that's
the
my-
biggest, like obvious, noticeable change other than the power that I made to the bike for sure.
Yeah, and I mean that's my point. Like, so if I got a Harley, then I'd have to get wheels because I'm gonna get some BSTs because I've ridden
There's
a
the thumb
Harley with
again.
BSTs. I know.
You do that.
Is it no? Is this?
I don't
thing
know.
no
Every
when I'm-
time you do a thumbs up,
Holy cow, dude! This can y'all see that?
somebody's on YouTube doing that, just laughing right now. And it's like,
No.
look at these guys. Look.
I just did it again because do it. You do it. Put your thumb up. This
No,
thing that smart.
I don't know, man. You're the leader of this deal. Oh, look there. No, don't do that. Oh, God. What would you do if it popped it up? Right
That'd be
now?
awesome. Sorry. I don't know. Can y'all see that? It was like getting thumbs up every time I did. This technology is wild. It was like sensing that I was giving a thumbs up. Either that or somebody was like on point every time I put a thumbs up. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's weird. Anyways, yeah, I done lost my frame of thought.
We're like squirrel.
I know.
You
Yeah,
got-
sure. All right. Boyd said, "Thank you guys." Boyd, thanks for getting in on the extra entries. We appreciate your support. Penske will win more in 24. That's right. That's right for sure.
I got anything
All
to
right.
do with it for sure. I'm gonna try.
So real quick, I was compiling some stats for our sponsors today, sending them out a recap, and I just wanted to share them with y'all as well because everybody that's tuned in, listening now, and that listens
Y'all helped
down
us.
the road. Oh my goodness! Y'all are the main reason. Like,
We're really proud of what we did in a year.
yeah,
I mean,
and,
really.
and the cool thing is we didn't have expectations, beforehand, which I think is good. Depending on what you do with new endeavors, new businesses, whatever it may be, just a new hobby. Like sometimes having goals is good. Sometimes it just all depends. It's all relative, I think. But we kind of kept an open mind, and I'll tell y'all what, if we had tried to set goals beforehand, we would have smashed them 100%. Like they would have got smashed. So real quick, the way this works. So when we do like not the lives, but when we just do normal podcasts and they're uploaded to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those type deals, we had almost 16,000 unique downloads this year, which it's averaged about almost 350 an episode. We had 34 5-star reviews. I think we had one that like knocked it down to like 4.9 stars or whatever, but it was still probably a 4-star. So that was just downloads, people listening, traveling. Then these Facebook Lives Facebook Lives, those accounted for over 11,000 views. So those were super popular because we only did like 8 or 9 of those. So we appreciate everybody that tunes in and goes back and watches these. And we know we messed up at PRI, but it was last minute. We got it fixed.
We were
though, for the
physically
recording.
live at
Yeah.
PRI, not really live online at PRI.
Yeah, but we'll get that
Maybe
better.
next year.
Yeah.
Maybe next year.
Our YouTube channel. So we know there's plenty of people actually watching on YouTube tonight, which is great. We love that. But when we started this, we were able to push the podcast themselves, even when they're just audio, directly to YouTube. So we started a channel that was pretty cool. And then when we got with Miss Kaylee of Racing the Lens, did I say that right?
Yep.
Yeah, Racing the Lens. I'm just making sure I was saying Miss Kaylee. We started getting her to shoot some sportsman racing at the XDA events for us. So we've been uploading that to the Red Hill YouTube channel. So if you're a sportsman racer, check out Kaylee's channel as well as ours. So that channel, and this year has got right at 400 subscribers, and has 130,000 views. I mean, I know it's like some racing videos on there that have a lot of views, but that was awesome. Between our Facebook and Instagram, we've got almost 1,400 followers there. Our top episode, who do you think that was?
Oh,
I know
Boo
you
Brown
know.
for sure.
Yeah. Mr. Boo Brown. And that's
Killed
just
it.
purely
We
from
need to get him back on here.
that's purely from the downloads that we can track. And that was like only a downloadable one. He had almost 800 downloads. Like, Boo, you're a superstar. And
He
then
already
of course, just pure rankings. Apparently, our consultant had let us know that we were ranking like in the top 10% of all sports related podcasts worldwide, and apparently there's like only like 50 some thousand of them. So, look, that wasn't us. That was y'all. Y'all
appreciate you.
are these numbers, and I'm saying y'all. That's what we are, rednecks and hillbillies. So y'all did this. We just got
For
on
some
the
reason,
mics.
you just listened to us ramble,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I think it is more so of sometimes entertaining stories and a lot of times relatable content.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
For sure. And I mean, like I said, these numbers might not mean a lot to y'all or mean anything, but they are some dandy numbers. Look, they are nice.
Yeah.
I do marketing is a part-time job, full-time job, whatever you want to call it.
It's a job.
Yeah, these are some damn good numbers. So if I had these for any of my clients, I'd be super happy. Yeah, I think that's all I got for tonight. What about you, Dustin? You got anything else?
I mean, I got a lot of things to do before I can go to bed and
Yeah.
drive
So
tomorrow.
we'll get you off here. Look, once again, we cannot thank you guys and girls enough from just sending us some feedback, seeing us at the racetrack and stopping us. Like, all that means so much to hear. Hey, it got me through the work week, or I was having a shitty day and I turned on the podcast and y'all had me laughing. Like,
I
all
want to
that
say
stuff
that
is what makes us keep doing it. To be honest,
you guys and gals that come up to us at the racetrack and tell us that we're doing a great job and you appreciate us, you are what's keeping us here. I just want to tell you that, because
100%.
there's nothing else. Like, I mean, realistically, your kind words is the motivation that gets us up here for an hour or two and do this basically almost every week.
Yeah, because it's a lot of time and it's not a lot of money, but it's still money being invested in this. And that's why we came up with the subscribers and trying to do giveaways from our awesome sponsors, all that. So that's why we have that, to cover the cost of all this. And between y'all and
had
the
to buy
sponsors, you
these.
cover it. Yeah.
Things, this stuff, to make it work. And I need to figure out mounting better over this year.
Well, it's because you're screening and everything. So, anyways, I don't want to just sob on and on. But yeah, we appreciate all the support. We will be back for this year, 2024, because of y'all. So we got some new things in works. We're going to scale back a hair. When we first kicked this off this time last year, we said we're going to do one every week. That's just hard. We ended up with 46 episodes.
Bro, that's pretty good, man.
We damn near did it every week. I mean, we're only 6 weeks short. If you include Christmas, New Year's, a couple times being sick and traveling, like, we pretty much did one every week. So we wanted to stay true to our word, to our sponsors and our supporters. We are going to scale it back some this year. Me and Dustin think we'll do probably about 30 this year, but basically we're going to start off trying to hit it every other week. That just gives us a little bit more time. And to be completely transparent, we think it will allow us to create a better show. Yeah. Yeah. We'll be able to plan and not be so winging it every week. So
we're always going to do that a little bit.
Well, yeah,
like
a
we're
little
always going to wing it some, but we're trying to have better shows. More of Boo Browns and stuff like that you guys really obviously liked.
Yeah.
And don't worry, we're going to have some Red Hill ramblings. They're still going to happen. There's going to be moments that we come back from a race and be like, oh Lord, we're going to talk about.
I got some rantable stuff right now. There's some rant stuff but that's for another episode. So let's see if we can get it one more time. It's not.
I still think it's somebody on YouTube liking the video.
No way. They're right on it.
If you're YouTubing us and you're doing that, y'all good, because I bet you're dying.
I think it's technology.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. That's tripping me out. It's a good thing I'm sober right now. All right. Let's see who we got. Anybody else? Oh, what's up? That's our big boy. Yeah, that's my man right there. Definitely see the thumbs up. Ah, man. Mr. Swain, what's up, brother? How are you doing, man? I love racing you. You are a badass competitor, and you are so humble. That's Dreads.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're as long as his motorcycle. I don't know how you don't get them in the chain.
Dude, that man, you're such a pleasure to race.
And that thing was stock wheelbase. He rode the crap out of it.
But I'm just saying, there's few people that are they are happy to race and be there, and that's one of them. That's a man that
like
win,
Shane,
lose, yeah. In RIP to our brother D-Lo, but that's like D-Lo again. There's very few people I know, or I feel like I'm pretty good when I get my ass kicked. I'm still not near as happy as some of these guys. And man, I love racing with you. It's always a pleasure to see you smile, and you owe me some, so I'm gonna be staying away from you. And then, man, look at this. We got legends sneaking in here again. We had Spider-Man the 1 week, and then some Grudge legends, and now we got Billy Vos in here talking about he's only here for the food. He's here for Uncle Walt's food.
He's probably ate with us a few times. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Billy's he's here for the food for sure. All right, y'all, we're getting off here. Dustin and I got some stuff to do. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all, and we'll be back in a week or two. So until then, peace. It's not doing peace signs, is it? Boom. Oh, what the heck? That's wild, mind blown. All right. Y'all are either messing with us real good or technology's wild, bro. All right, we're out of here. See y'all.